This is episode 8. I'm Darian.
And I'm Mike.
And we're doing the week 7 NFL picks. Yeah. What is that tapping?
I think it's my headset.
It sounds terrible.
I got a big head.
Oh, that's funny. All right, so let's start with tonight's game, the Thursday the game on Fox, NFL Network, and Prime Video. It's the Denver Broncos at the Arizona Cardinals, 8:20. What do you think about this game?
I don't know what to think about this game. Arizona is almost as bad as the Raiders are, and Denver's maybe 2 steps above.
Both not great. Both on any given day, kind of feisty defenses, but overall underwhelming defenses to what we thought they would be.
Yeah.
Both quarterbacks. One is not. I'm not sure. I've never really bought into the Case Keenum factor, but it's really not panning out right now for Denver. And Josh Rosen's obviously a rookie. He's still getting his bearings. David Johnson is slowly improving statistically, but I just don't understand why they don't ride him as much as they can. I'll never understand it. I've been talking about that for 2 months now.
Yeah, every week they're still 32nd in rushing.
Exactly.
And I get that maybe it's maybe you get behind a little bit, but I mean, so here's the thing, right? This is the thing that argument drives me crazy about. Okay, let's try this again in English. The reason why that argument drives me crazy is because, getting behind, if you're not doing what you do well, you're guaranteed to get behind. If you at least try to do what you do well and you don't turn the ball over, they only get the ball when you don't have the ball, yep. Right? So if the team, let's just say that, for example, this weekend, the Broncos get the ball, the opening kickoff, go down, score a touchdown. Okay, fine. What do? Or do you suddenly just totally ignore what you do well and just throw the ball like crazy?
Right. It's not like you're down 40 points in the first half every game and you just can't run the ball.
Right. It's not like you start off down by 35. This isn't, they don't give you a lead to begin the game. So yeah, I get your defense isn't great, but try at least to run the ball. At least make them have to respect it so that when you do try to throw it, at least you've got a shot.
Yeah, I agree completely. I don't know what I think. I honestly think they just have a really bad head coach in Steve Wilkes. I'm not sure he's good, and it's bad coach mixed with a bad roster is a very bad team overall. So, I'm taking Denver. It's in Arizona, but I think Denver has more talent and at least somewhat more stability. So I know Arizona's finally won a game or two, but I think I'm not sure what their record is right now, but it's.
Well, they're only one game different. Denver's 2-4 and Arizona's 1-5.
Right, and that's fair. I think that they're bigger talent-wise. I think there's a bigger gap than just one game. So maybe it's only 2 or 3 games, which I know is the semantics almost, but I think they'll beat Arizona in Arizona. So
I think that I am, just for the sake of trying to catch up. No, I'm just kidding. I'm taking the Broncos too. I don't think Arizona's any good at all.
I don't either, and I'm not sure Denver's that good either. But they're better than Arizona, and that's really all I'm basing it off of. So, but you know what? It is a Thursday night game. It can get weird. And now that I'm picking Denver, I almost want to be too smart and try to take Arizona, but I'm just going to stick with what I think is a safer pick. So,
well, Denver's also getting kind of lucky too because they're playing at night, so it's not going to be 645 degrees. So
right, it'll be indoors too, because yeah. So yeah, all right. So let's move on to the Sunday slate of games.
Really?
There's not a lot of, like we were talking about this before we started this pod, and there's not a lot of super interesting games this week. I'm looking at 9:30 a.m. Tennessee LA Chargers. Is that in London?
No.
Are you sure?
No. Oh, it is Wembley Stadium.
Yeah, okay, because there's a 9:30 game. I'm like, I think that's London.
I
So
didn't even realize that.
yeah, so that's actually an interesting matchup to me. Titans Chargers. Um, I have no idea who's gonna win this game. It's a neutral field, quote unquote. The Chargers are the home team, but it's a neutral field, and they're both really weird teams having up and down season. I have literally no idea who to pick. I don't even know where to start analyzing this game because there's so many weird things going on with both these teams. You know?
Yeah,
Um,
Tennessee's either really good or really bad. You
yeah,
just never
except
know
and
which team you're going to get.
the Chargers are too. The Chargers just beat up the Browns like badly, and the Chargers looked dominant. But it was the Browns who. Well, I can't even say it was the Browns because the Browns have been competitive all year. So
True.
so they may or may not have Kenny Vaccaro and Derek Morgan, Tennessee. Um, let's see, I'm trying to see who else the Chargers are. So Travis Benjamin's day to day. Joey Bosa is still out. But really, everything that they're dealing with is pretty much the same. I'm gonna take the Chargers. I think they're gonna ride their hot. I don't know if it's a hot streak, but I would say that they're gonna ride beating Cleveland's ass, and really, because that's what they did. I think they're gonna ride that and go into London and take care of business. And they're a heavy favorite too, so they're only one game better. They're only 4-2, but I think the Chargers are gonna take this one. I feel like they're just more talented than Tennessee, even if they're not that much more talented. I think they are, and I like their offense a lot more.
Yeah, I'm taking the Chargers too. That Tennessee just got worked over by the Ravens, so
Well, to be fair with that, I do want to say Tennessee or Baltimore's like the best defense in football right now.
okay, they lost to Buffalo the week before that.
They did. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you're right.
So far, they've lost to Miami, they've lost to Buffalo, and they've lost to Baltimore. And the only close game was Buffalo.
Right.
That's not saying a whole lot when you're leading passer passes for 129 yards for the whole entire game and you still find a way to lose. And I just don't think San Diego's that bad. I think San Diego's a pretty decent team, and I think they're gonna smoke Tennessee. Is what I think is gonna happen.
That and that's very possible. It's just so I think they're gonna win by at least 10, maybe 7, but yeah, they I could see a blowout. I could see blowout potential and just them having back-to-back weeks of just kicking ass. So
Yeah, I mean, another way to look at it too is Chargers top 13 in everything: offense, defense, passing, rushing, and Tennessee is only top 20 in one.
right. And the thing is too, and that's a great statistic. So I'm glad you said that. The only other thing that I would add to this game, and then we can move on, is that I really just think two things are holding back the San Diego/LA Chargers, which is one, they just are haunted by injuries all the time, and that started even before the season started with the defense. And two, I'm not sure Anthony Lynn's that good of a coach, but he's not terrible. I'm just not sure how good of a coach he is. So I feel like that kind of like puts a limit on what they're capable of. But I do think they'll beat Tennessee. So.
Yep. So moving on to the Houston Football Texans, going to the Jacksonville Jaguars to play Sunday afternoon. It is afternoon at 1:00. But anyways, it doesn't look like the weather's going to be terrible. Doesn't look like it's going to be hot. So it's going to come down to who actually is the better team, I think. And I don't have an answer for that question.
Well, the last time Blake Bortles even remotely played well was in about a couple weeks ago, and since then they got rocked by the Chiefs in Kansas City, which I'll give them that because Kansas City is a powerhouse. They're probably the best team in the AFC, at least right now. And then they got destroyed by a bottom 5 statistic offense in Dallas, 40-7. They got blown out on last Sunday. So I just think you're wasting your window of this good of a defense before you have to pay everybody and everything like that on Blake Bortles as your quarterback. And for the life of me, I don't understand it. And until I've made this decision, Until they do something about it and show me that they care, I'm picking against them. I'm taking Houston. And I think Houston's feisty. I don't think Houston's very good, but I'm not sure Jacksonville's that good. At least not as a whole team. Obviously, their defense is very good, but they've also not played like it in the past couple weeks too. So they've given up 40 and then 30 and then I mean they had a couple really good games to start the year, but I don't know, man. 40 points to Dallas is scary. So
Yeah, well, the whole thing about that particular game was Dallas turned around and completely changed who they were that game,
right,
offensively speaking. So, you sit around and watch tape, figuring out what a team's been doing this year, last year, however far back you want to go to try to get an idea about, how they play against your defense or whatever. And you have it in your head that it's going to be this way. And so you practice all week with, hey, these are your keys. This is your key. These are what you're paying attention to, all that stuff. And then it completely change.
mm-hmm.
I mean, that'll screw anybody up, because now everybody's like, oh my God, they're just running around trying to figure out, ways to adjust. But what do you say what do you say in the middle of the game? You say, oh yeah, well now we're going to go ahead and play these guys like we would have played, the Giants, or like how we would have played KC. Well, you can't do that, because those Dallas is not those teams. So I think last week was kind of a strange situation. I mean, Kansas City putting up 30 is not that big of a deal. Kansas City puts up on 30 on everybody, minimum. So other than that, they've held everybody else to not a lot. So I just think, I don't know. I'm taking Jacksonville.
And that's fine. And everything you said makes sense to me. It really does. I'm just gonna say one thing because I actually was curious. I wanted to know, because obviously this is a divisional game for these two. I wanted to know what the records were, like the all-time record against Jacksonville and like in Houston versus Jacksonville. So all time, it is. I just had it in front of me. All time, Houston leads the series 19-13. It's 19-13. Um, and for the away game, so in Jacksonville, Houston is 8-8. So one of them was an overtime loss, but they hold their ground there. They don't always obviously win, but they've won as many times as they've lost. So it's not like they can't win there. So
yeah,
and that's
but
dating back.
Houston's always been a kind of a middle of the road sort of team where they could jump up and bite anybody. Where Jacksonville's been historically bad for a few years there in the middle. They were good in the very beginning Jacksonville time, and then they were really historically bad for about 4 or 5 years, maybe more. I'm not a Jacksonville fan, but I know that they were terrible for a while.
It was almost like 10 years, I feel like, because they went to the AFC Championship game and like when Coughlin was there.
Right. Well, okay, but think back how far Coughlin was with the Giants. How far, So all those years were years when they had nobody. Once Mark Brunell was gone and all that, they just did the old churn through the quarterback thing. Oh, let's draft Blaine Gabbert. I mean, he's the solution.
Houston wasn't good for all those years either until they got Matt Schaub in like 2009 or something?
Probably a little earlier than that, but exactly, they weren't great, but they were usually good for 6 or 7 wins at least every year. When Jacksonville was good for 3,
right?
Maybe,
right.
So that kind of it's kind of because these teams have had such a shorter history than than a lot of other teams have had. So
right. So, but yeah, I get what you're saying, and I don't know. I can't pick a Blake Bortles offense. I won't do it anymore. I won't subject myself to that kind of terror. I won't do it. I refuse to do it. So I'm taking Houston. And Houston
can't trust it.
Can't trust him. Can't play with him. Can't win with him. Just like Mike Singletary said. Can't coach him. Can't play with him. Yeah, Houston by 14.
Yeah, I'm just looking here.
It ain't gonna.
So yeah, I mean, basically, Houston by 14. Huh? Yeah, no, I got Jacksonville. I don't think it's going to be. I think one of the teams might score 14, but I'm not going to pick somebody by that. But no, Dom Capers' years. They had 4 seasons under Dom Capers. They were 18-46.
Right.
Gary Kubiak. They had 7 years of him, but they were 61-64. Then they had Wade Phillips for 3 games, and then Bill O'Brien. They've been 31-33. So other than the first 4 years of their existence, they've been basically a 500 team.
Yeah, and that's how I've always viewed them. Every time I always heard about the hype of, oh, Houston's gonna do something, they would get beat by Cincinnati every year in the wild card round. So I was never worried about them being a real team.
And that's the only team Cincinnati can beat in the playoffs,
too. It is, yeah. Well, no, didn't they beat the Chargers too? I think they beat the Chargers.
That's not saying a lot, though.
No, I guess not. But moving on, because we spent way too much time on a game that I just do not care about personally.
Me neither.
So who are you picking? Jacksonville, right? By the way.
Yep, I got Jacksonville.
All right, I'm taking Houston. Maybe probably not by 14. I was, overzealous there, but I think they'll win by. I think they'll control the game, and it'll be clear from pretty much the get-go that Jacksonville is just not a good offense, because they really aren't. So let's move on to Carolina Panthers at Philadelphia Eagles. This has potential to either be really fun to watch if both quarterbacks play well and make some plays, because both are very capable of being wow factors at under center. Carson Wentz and Cam Newton. I'm not really intimidated by either of these teams. Like, I don't think both these teams might make the playoffs, and both of them could miss the playoffs. So I don't know what's going to happen. I think Philly will, and I'm not sure Carolina will at this point. But I'm taking Philly because it's not a super easy place to win. And they've done enough in these close games so far this year that even though they're not super impressive, they've been able to win close games, which in its own right is is impressive. So I'm taking Philadelphia here. I think it'll be close, though.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with the Eagles, too. I think the Eagles are a better team. Not thoroughly impressed with passing in the defense of the Panthers. So that's who I'm choosing.
Yeah.
Now I would like to go on to, well, I don't really want to go on to, but I guess we'll go on to the Vikings at the New York Jets.
New York Football Jets. So,
yes,
I've been extremely unimpressed with Minnesota this year. Like, very underwhelmed. They've had injury issues too on defense and to Dalvin Cook and things like that. But I do think Kirk Cousins is playing well enough to be able to go on the road to a team that really should not beat them and handle their business. So I'm taking Minnesota. This is a game I will not watch. This is a stay away from me for my eyes. Because I don't hate myself. And yeah, I'm just taking Minnesota. I think it's the easy pick here. And there is a path where Sam Darnold has a good game and they light up the Vikings defense, and the Jets defense has been playing well. Like, they've been playing okay this year. So, a couple forced turnovers on Kirk Cousins, and boom, you got a really awkward blowout where Minnesota lost to Buffalo this year. So why can't they lose to the Jets, But
right.
But like a transverse of property almost. But I just don't see it. I think I
that's a big word.
Yeah. But property.
Transverse and
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said. I don't think the Jets are really a firm 3-3 team, but I also don't think the Vikings are really a 3-2-1 team. I don't know what either one of them are, but I think the Vikings are marginally better. So, if this game is any bigger than a 6-point spread when it's over, I'll be surprised. But right. I'm taking the Vikings too.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
This next game, though.
I want you to talk about this next game.
Well, okay, so I'll do that. Let me scroll up on my fabulous thing here.
By the way, there's 3 really good games this week. This is the first one.
I don't know if there's 3 really good games this week.
There are. So New England at Chicago is the game we're about to talk about. But I just want to point out, New Orleans going to Baltimore is a very good game. That offense versus that Baltimore defense in hostile territory, that's going to be fun. And Sunday Night Football, the Bengals and Chiefs, that is going to be a good game too. I think there's 3 really good games. I really do. And the rest are just hot garbage that I just would just rather not watch. But I do think those games, all 3 of those games are going to be so good.
Well, there is one more good game that's going to be on too, and that's the Raiders versus the bye week. They still might catch an L.
Yeah. or at least tie it. Yeah. By the way, I've been wanting to do this every week since like week 4 when I first started having buys, and I just keep forgetting. But we'll point out that the bye because I figured we would point out the bye week teams, and we just never have. But
Yeah.
it's the Packers, the Raiders, the Steelers, and Seahawks. So that's the Week 7 bye team. So I'll try to start remembering to do that because I have not so far. And so
Yeah, in case somebody's listening for fantasy info, maybe they're wanting to know what guys to not play. Don't play Jordy Nelson. Well, you should never play Jordy Nelson because he's on the Raiders. So, anyways, Patriots at the Bears.
yeah, I want to hear you talk about this game because I'm a Patriots fan. So I want to hear someone who's not a Patriots fan and what they think of this game.
It's kind of a strange thing. I don't really, unless the Mitch Trubisky of 6 touchdowns and 500 yards passing or whatever shows up, which I greatly do not believe will happen probably ever again. I don't see any way that the Bears are going to beat New England.
Even with that defense and at home?
Nah.
Really?
Nah. I mean, so who'd the Bears play on Sunday?
They lost in Miami to Miami, but it was a very, very, very hot game.
But it's Miami.
Yeah, and Miami
and they're coming off Miami's coming off a bye week, or Chicago's coming off a bye week.
Right.
And they let Brock Osweiler put up 380 yards.
He torched him. There's no way around it. He torched him.
Now, are you trying to tell me that if Brock, I can't throw the ball, Osweiler is going to put up 380 yards, that Tom Brady ain't going to do the same thing?
Right. And I agree with you. And to build off that, I do think Chicago has a very, very good defense, and if they get rolling, there is a pathway to beating the crap out of this Patriots offense, and just stifling them and giving Brady and Belichick a very, very long day. But I don't see it. And like you're saying, so this is the Patriots the last 3 weeks have scored 43, 38, and 38, dating back to week 4 or whatever it was when they played Miami and blew them out. So they've been virtually 40 points the last 3 weeks. And I'm not sure they'll put up 40 on Chicago, but I just don't know if Chicago can keep up with that kind of offense now that New England seemed to figure it out because, basically as soon as it became, the day before October, but as soon as it became October, New England woke up, which they almost do it every year. So,
well, I mean, this is how I look at it, right? So between common opponents, the only common opponents that I'm aware of that they have is Miami. But, I mean, come on. New England just smoked Kansas City, and I was like, oh, they want to beat them by 3 points? That's not smoking them. Nobody else has put up 43 points on Kansas City.
That and also New England was up, I just want to say, by like around 18 to 20 points most of the game, and then near the end when Kansas City really needed to start trying to do something, they had a couple crazy late game touchdowns that were like really bad defensive errors for the Patriots, but it wasn't a shootout in the sense of back and forth.
No, wasn't it 20-3 at halftime or 24-3 or?
It was.
They were up by quite a bit because I was like, I ain't gonna watch this game anymore.
I think it was 20-3 at halftime. It was something crazy. So so Kansas City got really hot for the second half, but it just wasn't enough, and it was mostly garbage time stuff. And they made the game very interesting at the end, but overall, the Patriots really weren't in doubt of losing that game. It would have taken a miracle, and they almost got one from Kansas. Kansas City almost had a miracle, but it just didn't happen. So, but yeah, no, and they handled the Colts like 10 days ago on Thursday night. Well, it's 2 weeks ago on Thursday Night Football.
They crushed Miami.
They crushed Miami 38-7, and that was when Miami was 3-0, and they were like, "Oh, watch out for Miami!" And turns out they weren't really a 3-0 team. They had played a weird game that lasted 8 hours week 1, and then 2 cupcakes from what I remember. So
right. So back to on topic picking here. I don't see any way that okay, I get it. Any given Sunday, I know all that. Yay, ta-da. The Patriots are going to beat the Bears.
I agree. I really do.
That's just what's going to happen. And it's going to be partly cloudy. It probably won't be terribly windy. It's not going to be cold. Just good old football weather, and they're going to go out and probably put up 33 on them.
Yep.
And the Bears will score like 17.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. 33-17 and 33-20, 24, something like that. But yeah, it's not going to be that close, and I think it will be not close from the get go. So
Yeah,
let's move on to that. I think, but it has the potential. I just want to say to be like a 17-13 thriller. That I really actually think could be a very good game. So, and I'm kind of hoping for that. Sort like half of me wants that because it just be good football, and half of me's still kind of reeling from the Kansas City game we almost lost. So I'm like, I'm okay if we just blow out a team this week. So I'm okay with that. So let's move on to the Buffalo Bills at the Indianapolis Colts. So this will be. Do we know for sure if it's going to be Nathan Peterman, or are they looking at their options, or who's going to start for the Bills at quarterback this week?
The only other option they really have at this point, this late in the day, is Derek Anderson, because he's been in 46 different offenses, so he could probably pick it up enough to where they don't have to worry about Nathan Pick Six Peterman playing.
Right, and I said that, and I just looked on Pro Football Talk, and actually, Bills head coach McDermott, or Sean McDermott, yeah, sorry, I almost called him Mike McDermott, I don't know why. Sean McDermott actually announced that Derek Anderson will start, so it will be Derek Anderson.
Yeah, I'd rather have a Derek Anderson who's been on my team for 2 weeks over Nathan Peterman who's been on my team for 2 decades.
Yeah, 2 years, and it's felt like 2 decades. So, so the reason we're talking about who's going to start at quarterback for the Bills is because obviously Josh Allen got hurt last week, the rookie quarterback for the Buffalo Bills starter, and real quickly, it was a wild story. So basically, it came out. Adam Schefter reported a couple days ago. It might have even been yesterday. No, it was a couple days ago. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Anyway, Adam Schefter tweeted basically that Josh Allen has a UCL injury in his elbow, and it is his throwing elbow, right?
Yeah, it's the same. It's not the same injury, but it's the same affected piece that Marcus Mariota was having a problem with.
Right, and basically what Schefter had said was he's ruled out for the rest of 2018, and he's ruled out for the rest or all of 2019 season, which is crazy to say. Like I was like that because that's like we talked about this a little bit yesterday, me and you. That's career killing. It can be, It really it's not just your seasons like for this year or next year. You might not play again at the level that you do. So. That's pretty wild, but then it actually came out yesterday that, yesterday that, he got a second opinion from Dr. James Andrews, and the
Wizard?
Yes, the Wizard, and, he may not miss more than a month or so, which is a really big difference in medical opinions, but, that's what he said, so... The Bills are going to take it one game at a time, and they're going to see how it goes. But Josh Allen, not totally out of the picture, but he is for this week. So I just wanted to recap that. So it's going to be Derek Anderson going into Indianapolis, and I actually couldn't say for sure who I would be picking in this game if Josh Allen was healthy, because they're kind of frisky sometimes, and then sometimes they just lay eggs. So I don't know, but the Bills definitely are not that team that we thought they were going to be week 1 when they got blown out 47-3 to Baltimore at home. They're not that bad. Don't get me wrong, they're bad, but they're not that bad. And I feel like they could have made this competitive with the Colts, but it's in Indianapolis. I just don't see Andrew Luck and the Colts losing to this team with Derek Anderson under the center. So I'm going to take the Colts here.
Well, I get what you're saying.
Are you gonna do it?
I don't know what I'm gonna do. Derek Anderson has a really weird history. You know what I mean?
He really does.
He's either been really, really good or really, really bad.
Yeah, and he's 35. Which, I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter, but it kind of matters I feel like it kind of matters for a backup, doesn't it?
Not really. Not really. I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Because I mean, the Bills have the better record too. I should mention the Bills are only 2-4. Colts are 1-5.
Yeah, and the Bills have the third-rated defense in all of football.
Do they really?
Yes, they really do. They've been shutting fools down.
That's what I'm saying. They've been competitive for a lot of the year.
I'm taking Buffalo. I had the Colts originally down. That's who I was picking because I've already made mine and marked them all down and whatnot. I'm changing it.
Ooh, okay. So we got us a face off. So we're gonna be watching the Bills Colts at 1:00, and we're ignoring the other games. Let's do it. No, I'm just kidding. But I don't think you're crazy. I think I really would take the Bills, to be honest with you, if Josh Allen were playing, just because of that continuity. But now that this is all kind of changing, I just don't like it. I'm not a fan of that stuff. So I'm gonna take the Colts at home. Plus, I don't think the Colts are gonna win 3 games this year. I think they're gonna win like 5 or 6. So they've got to start winning them sometime. And trading with bad teams better than trying to beat good teams, because I don't know if they can beat good teams. So,
Cleveland Browns at the Tampa Bay Buccarinos.
Bucks looked competitive last week against Atlanta, but everybody does because they have no defense because everybody is in the hospital. They're all hurt in Atlanta. So, Jameis Winston looked decent. He looked pretty good. Cleveland got destroyed by the Chargers last week. They got blown out. My heart wants to take Cleveland. My gut's saying pick Tampa Bay at home. Who are you taking? I need to be convinced one way or another, and you probably have something that I don't know about. So I want to know what you're thinking about Cleveland, Tampa Bay.
I just know that 2 weeks ago, first of all, let's not get confused. Baker Mayfield hurt his ankle like on the first series of that game last week.
He did. I saw that. Because I was actually curious about that game because I was like, man, if Cleveland can make this game interesting, I'm going to start to buy into some of this Cleveland hype.
Yeah, but 2 weeks ago, they beat Baltimore. He threw for 350 yards against the Ravens.
Right, and that defense shut them down too.
Yeah.
And that's a good Ravens team.
Yeah, all things considered, if I'm looking at the Browns taking a journey to Tampa Bay, couldn't think of anything more original than Tampa Bay. They ranked second in offense and first in passing, but that was all like the first
2.5
3 weeks of
yeah.
Since then, they haven't done nearly as much, and they can't stop anything. They can't stop anybody.
No, they have no secondary at all.
I'm taking Cleveland.
All right, I'm convinced I'm taking Cleveland as well. Go Brownies.
Brownies.
Dog pound. All right, we're moving on because I don't want to talk about that game because it's ugly uniforms, ugly colors, ugly teams, ugly everything. Ugly football is what it's going to be probably. Detroit Lions at the Miami Dolphins. So
this has got, first of all, let me warn you, this has got 8-hour football game written all over it because the forecast is 90 degrees and thunderstorms.
Yes, yeah, that absolutely. Well, see, the Tampa game probably has that written all over it too, because the Tampa games get stalled all the time too. Like there was a Bucks-Rams game I think last year, and it was like 5 hours long.
Yeah, no, the forecast for Tampa Bay, it's on the other side and halfway up Florida. It's only 85 and partly cloudy, so it's not supposed to be a bad day there. But
right.
Way down south in the South Beach area, it's supposed to be bang, bang, boom.
What's the temperature supposed to be?
90.
It's gonna feel like 100.
It's gonna feel like 190.
All right, I'm taking Miami. I was gonna take Detroit, but that game is ugly, and I think both those teams are really, really weird, and they're both gonna win like probably 5 to 6 games because I don't trust Matt Patricia still. I actually weirdly trust Adam Gase. I just don't trust anyone around him, and I feel like he's the guy saying, do this, do that, and like nobody listens to him because they're all trying to do something different, and they just aren't good at it, if that makes sense. I don't know. I think, like, I'm trying to say Adam Gase, I think, is going to be a good head coach. I just don't know if it's going to be in Miami. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, that has happened before, Kyle Shanahanigans.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And also, by the way, I just thought about this. There's talk of Vance Joseph being fired from Denver. If Adam Gase gets fired, I would go hire him back to Denver. Let him run the team this time because he was the offensive coordinator there and he seemed to do well there. So I that's what I would do. But that's a whole other thing. So I just wanted to bring that up because I actually thought about it. I honestly want to pick a tie. Can I pick a tie or can I just?
No, you can definitely pick a tie if you
That's
want to
so
pick a
funny.
tie.
No, I won't do it.
Especially since there's been either a tie or overtime every single week.
Yeah, it's been a lot of free football. It's been very cool. And like I said, I think I said this last week on the podcast that we did. I genuinely root for ties. I think it's hilarious, and I love it, and I embrace it because some people get pissed about it. But if you guys can't score in 10 minutes, y'all deserve a tie.
You deserve to not get a win.
Yeah, because they literally designed overtime to give you enough time to somebody to score more than a field goal.
Right. It's like the mercy rule for fans, too, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, field goal on the first possession, you don't win the game.
Yeah, because it's...
But we're only going to run this stuff 10 minutes because the fans ain't trying to sit here for 4 hours and watch you inept people try to put points on the board.
Exactly. And it used to be, obviously, if you won the field goal or if you won the coin toss in overtime, you pretty much... It was almost a foregone conclusion you were going to win the game.
Yeah.
Because it was just you needed a field goal. And I mean, if you can't move an offense to get in field goal range, then what the hell are you doing? You know? So obviously it didn't always work out, but like that was usually the idea. So I would like to pick a tie. I won't though. I'm gonna actually pick a team. I'm gonna pick Miami. It's in Miami. It's gonna be hot as crap, and it's gonna be muggy and crappy. And they might, like you said, if there's thunderstorms, they might delay the game or pause the game mid game or whatever they're doing down there. I don't trust Matt Patricia. I don't trust Ryan Tannehill. Oh, actually, sorry. You know what? Never mind. I just read something. I have to change my mind. Brock Osweiler is starting again.
That does not change my pick.
Actually, it doesn't change mine either because he just beat the Bears.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm taking Miami. Yeah, I'm taking the Brock Osweiler-led Miami.
Yeah, me too. Let's not talk about this game anymore. That game's got cramps written all over it. They better bring the Gatorade truck to that place. So now here's a game that you were saying was going to be a good game. The Saints at the Ravens is the first 4 o'clock game, 4:05.
Yes, and
the weather there is just going to be mostly cloudy and 50s.
Yeah, and I would just like to thank the scheduling gods, which is probably some dude on Park Avenue in New York. Yeah, giving us New England, Chicago at 1, and then this game at 4, and then the Sunday night game. So I'll get to actually watch all 3 of these games too. So that's usually cool because sometimes I hate having to juggle watching the Patriots and like another really good 1 o'clock game that's super interesting to me because I almost just always ignore that game and just watch the Patriots anyway. So this is cool. So I enjoy this. So yeah, so New Orleans at Baltimore. New Orleans coming off a bye. Probably getting a little bit healthier. Mark Ingram's he's working his way back. He's looking pretty good. Alvin Kamara is a monster. Michael Thomas is throwing his hat officially into the ring as a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL, if not top 5. I know that's a really cramped area, but Michael Thomas is the real deal. He really is. That's a great offense, and they have no defense really. And the Baltimore Ravens offense is, very bipolar. Sometimes it's very good. Sometimes it's easily containable. That defense is very, very, very good. It's in Baltimore. Baltimore's never been an easy place to win. It's loud. Everyone there is ugly, as we both know. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just Joe Flacco. He's super ugly. But I think... I want you to talk about this game. I want to know what the Saints' record after a bye is.
I don't know. I'm just sitting here pondering, who do I trust more, Drew Brees or Joe Flacco?
Drew Brees, by far.
Yeah.
Not even close.
I got the Saints on this one. I'm actually changing my pick. I had myself picking the Ravens. I'm changing that. I'm going with the Saints.
Yeah, see, it says here New Orleans is since 2003, because that's as far back as I can go. They are 10-7 after their bye.
Yeah, but that I don't always take that into huge consideration because 17 games that could have been when the Panthers were good, could have been when the Falcons were good, could have been when Tampa Bay was good,
right?
Could have been there's a lot of the NFC South has historically last quite a few years has been a pretty tough division. So
No, I agree with that for sure. I do agree with what you're saying. I just think I don't know. There's certain teams that I actually buy trends on. Like I buy trends for like New England, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. Like there's several teams and there's no really rhyme or reason why. I just do. I buy trends on them and Saints are one of them. And I don't know though. I'm terrified. Oh, see, but you know what? Never mind. It doesn't matter. I'm sorry. I'm getting distracted by numbers. I think
well,
that Baltimore defense is very
here's
good.
a number for you. Against Cleveland 2 weeks ago, the Ravens put up 9 points.
Yeah, that's a number, all right. That is a single digit number.
Mm-hmm.
But Cleveland's defense has been frisky this year. They've been good, you know.
They're ranked 28th in the league.
All right. Well, I'm taking the Saints then.
Problem solved.
No, you know what? No. Yes. All right, I'm taking the Saints. I want to move on. You're taking the Saints too, right?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. I'm just.
I talked myself into it.
I'm just.
I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, okay, I got Drew Brees or I got Joe Flacco.
Yeah, and well, here's the thing. I'm a shell shocked Patriots fan. I know that sounds weird, but from the Ravens, they've got me shook because even when they're bad, I'm scared of them, just like the Giants now. Like if the Patriots were playing the Giants this week, I would be scared if it was in New York. And I'm not even kidding. And yes, I mean this Giants team. So I'm just shook all the time by the Ravens, the Broncos, and the Giants. I never know because we've historically had trouble playing them, so I just view them as teams that are dangerous. And I do think that the Ravens are pretty dangerous this year, but I am going to take the Saints also because the smart money says, like you said, Drew Brees over Joe Flacco. And Drew Brees usually doesn't get hindered by really, really good defenses as much as Joe Flacco gets hindered by himself. So,
yeah, I mean, the only game that the Saints lost was that ridiculous opening game against Fitzmagic.
Yeah, that was an aberration too because it happened one week and then the next week it kind of happened and then he fell apart on Monday Night Football against the Steelers. So and lost the job. So yeah. So let's move on to the Dallas Cowboys at the Washington Redskins. I'm taking the Redskins here. I think that I don't know. Dallas just beat Jacksonville's butt, but that's Jacksonville, so you're really playing half a team because you don't have to play an offense because they don't have one.
Doesn't matter when you put up 40.
Right. No, I agree. But I would be interested to know if they'd scored 40 combined points. I'm sure they have, but if they'd scored 40 combined points the entire year before that, because I just feel like they just don't score. Like, I obviously they did.
Yeah, they've put up over 20 a couple times.
They've done it twice. They put 20 up against the Giants, and they did 26 against Detroit, but that was it.
Yep.
Then they scored 8, 13, 16. So,
yep.
And I think it's going to be an 8, 13, 16 game. So it's probably going to end up being like 20 to 16 Redskins. It's going to. So, but I'm taking Washington here. I still don't trust that Dallas Cowboy offense. The play calling especially, and I'm also not sure Dak Prescott's as good as we thought he was his rookie year.
Don't lump me in with that we.
Oh, I was saying he was awesome. I was like, Dak Prescott's the guy. He's not the guy. I was wrong. So, I don't think he is, at least. Tony Romo better. Long live Tony Romo. Who do you got?
Cowboys.
Really? So on the road. So you were convinced by them destroying Jacksonville? Is that what did it for you?
No. They're both not good on offense.
Right.
25th and 29th. They're both pretty good on defense, 4th and 5th. Not very good on passing, 29th and 24th. But the Cowboys can run the ball. They're second in the league in running.
Right. Well, the Redskins do have Adrian Peterson. He's played well. He's played okay.
But he's not Ezekiel Elliott. They're 12th in the league in rushing, and Cowboys are second. So I think it's not going to be bad weather. It's not going to be hot. Not going to be anything weird. I just think the Cowboys will go in and run the ball. I think the Cowboys win. I will not be surprised if Washington wins, but I'm picking the Cowboys just based on I don't want to pick the Redskins.
Yeah, it's never fun to root for a team that Dan Snyder owns. Nor is it fun to root for a team that Jerry Jones owns. So pick your poison. All right. So that's okay. So I'm taking Washington. You're taking Dallas. So let's move on to the last 4:00 game of Sunday. It's the LA Rams versus the San Francisco 49ers. So CJ Beathard has played pretty well, and considering, and they really should have beaten Green Bay on Monday Night Football. But there was one play that was it a penalty or was it not a non-call? Did you watch that game?
I did watch that game.
There was one game,
which one are you talking about?
It was near the end of the game. I was in and out of it. It was so late. I can't remember. I honestly can't remember it. But Green Bay should have been flagged, and it would have stopped them from scoring their last touchdown.
Oh no, you're talking about the flag that got called against the 49ers that let the Packers resume their drive.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, exactly. And okay. So I just wanted to give San Francisco their props. There's a lot of, hem and hawing that I could do about them, but they've been frisky, and they actually have a pretty good defense. Not secondary, but they have a good front seven. They really do. They got DeForest Buckner. They got a lot of guys in there that are interesting to me, and it's not going to matter. That's all I'll say, because they're going to get torched by their own secondary. The LA Rams are going to continue their 6-0, and then they're going to improve to 7-0, and they're going to probably not blow out San Francisco, but they're going to beat them.
I think they'll blow them out. I think they're going to just destroy them.
They absolutely could. I'm just banking on San Francisco's defense playing like it did this past week, and given like they gave Aaron Rodgers a lot of fits, I think they could give Goff some fits too, but it depends. So there's a path to them making that game close if they can stifle Todd Gurley, which I know is easier said than done, but yeah. So we're both taking the Rams there. That's not a lot to talk about. The last game that's interesting to me, they've only got 2 left anyway. So Cincinnati Bengals at the Kansas City Chiefs, Sunday Night Football, NBC. What do you think about this game?
I do not agree with your assessment that it's going to be an exciting game to watch, only because I don't think Vontaze Burfict can catch up with any of the guys that are the receivers for the Chiefs, so I don't think he's going to be able to hit nobody. And I just see everybody running right by.
Well, he's not actually worried about that, I don't think, because I think he's more concerned with doing late hits.
Well, that's what I mean. He's not going to be able to catch anybody because they're going to be in the end zone dancing.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that might not stop him. That might actually influence him to hit him anyway. What I'm basically trying to say is Vontaze Burfict should be out of the league. Did you see his dirty hit on Antonio Brown this past week?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Elbow to the back of the head while he was getting tackled by 2 other guys.
Did you see him the next play on the other side of the line, at the opposite end of the line, pointing to J.J. Schuster saying, "You're next"?
No, but that's terrifying because he should probably not be in the league.
Yep, he was pointing at him, screaming, "You're next."
Those guys had it. Those guys had gotten into it last year too, right? That was. Yeah, because they both actually exchanged some blows to each other. I don't know. It's in Kansas City. I want to pick the Bengals. I am going to pick the Bengals. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the Kansas City Chiefs, not only did they lose last week on Sunday Night Football, but they're going to lose this week on Sunday Night Football. Andy Dalton's going to go in and torch that defense because they're not a good defense at all whatsoever. And I think that the Bengals actually have a pretty good defense. I'm not sure what they're ranked, but
29th.
Okay, that's alarming.
I love, but that was a lot of that was without Burfict cheap shotting people. He just came back last week.
Right. So now they've got an executioner. See, so
right.
So maybe Tyreek Hill won't live through the game. Anything's possible.
Possible.
So they've got the dirtiest player in football on their side again. So, but no, I really do think, and I like Michael Johnson and I like Carlos Dunlap, and I love those guys. I think they're sick, and I know they don't have a great secondary, but they do have on offense AJ Green, Giovanni Bernard, Joe Mixon, Tyler Eifert's out for the year.
So is his replacement.
Oh, is he? Ooh, that's not good. They need a tight end.
Should I suit up?
Yes. That's funny. You caught me really off guard there. That's why I was ugly laughing. That's funny. Should you suit up? Yes, you're gonna be. You would look really bad in the orange and black stripes. I think you're more like a. I think that the giant blue would suit you a lot better. So yeah, I want to take the Bengals. I'm taking the Bengals. I think this is. I honestly, what I think is, I think this has the potential to be a shootout, just like last Sunday night was. But I just. What it is for me is, I think Kansas City is going to come back down to earth from what they've been this year, because I don't think they're that good. Because I just have a hard time believing that Patrick Mahomes is that good. Now, it is entirely possible that I'm wrong and he's like basically
that good.
The next, basically he's the next Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, throwing 50 touchdowns this year thing. It's impossible to know. I just have a hard time believing that type of stuff. So, I'm taking Cincinnati. I'm probably gonna be wrong, but yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know. I just go Bengals. Who they? Who that? Who they? Whatever.
Yeah. That's the Saints.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah, I got the Chiefs by 17.
Yeah, I mean, I think this game. I'll tell you right now too. I wouldn't be surprised if this game's score was the same score as last Sunday night, where it was 40-43. So I could absolutely see that. And AJ Green gets 3 touchdowns, and Giovanni Bernard gets 1, and Andy Dalton dives for 1. Like, I can see that. So I don't know. We'll see. I just gotta. In my heart says Patrick Mahomes isn't gonna throw 4 touchdowns every week. He's just not gonna do it. Now, could I be wrong? Yeah, I'm wrong about a lot of stuff. So, but I just, this is more of a pick of me trying to will it into existence than it is what I honestly believe. But I want to look smart if I get this right. So I'm going to take Cincinnati. So the last game, Monday Night Football. I will be watching basketball instead of this because this is a terrible matchup and I'm not interested in either team whatsoever. ESPN, October 22nd, Monday night. New York Football Giants, Big Blue, at the Atlanta Falcons.
I'm just picking the home team by 3.
That would be Atlanta.
Yeah, both of these teams, for different reasons,
suck.
Are terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just terrible. Yeah, that's all I got. If you would like to discuss this game, please feel free to call 1-800 I'm sorry.
Nailed it again. Outstanding. Yeah, no, I'm good. I will not be calling that hotline. It is going to be Atlanta. I'm also picking Atlanta. And if it was in New York, I would probably still pick Atlanta. But I
might be at least generally persuaded to pick the Giants.
Yeah,
if they're playing in Atlanta, there's no way I'm picking the Giants.
Yeah, Atlanta's bad because they have no defense because everybody's hurt. And the Giants are bad because Pat Shermer's their coach, and also they have no offensive line, and also Eli's old, and also they're just bad in general. And yeah, they're just both not good. And also, Julio Jones doesn't have a touchdown this year, which is insane. He's having crazy yardage numbers each game. He just doesn't have a touchdown, which is super, 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 super weird. I don't know what's going on with that. I think it's Steve Sarkisian's fault, and that's who I blame. But I haven't watched enough Falcons games because I think they're not fun to watch, personally, which is kind of interesting because I know they have a lot of good players and they're like a high-flying offense, blah, 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 blah. But they bore me, so I don't watch Falcon games. Yeah, but Atlanta by 6, 3, 5, whatever. It's going to be close and ugly, and I'm not going to be watching. I'll be watching the NBA because it's going to be more fun that night. So, yeah. So I think that's it. Wraps up episode 8. You got anything else you want to say? Any hot takes at the 55-minute mark here?
Yeah, I think I'll pick the Raiders against the bye week. I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna lose that one.
I don't know. John Gruden can find a way. All right. So
yeah. You just keep blaming John Gruden for all the injuries. Just go ahead.
Oh yeah. All right. So we'll be back soonish, probably. I don't know. We'll be back soon. So that's episode 8, the 108.1 FNFB podcast. That's Mike. I'm Darian. Thanks for listening. Yeah.
Toodaloo.